Oh, this isn't a good start. Hello and welcome back to Helldivers. That could have gone better, but whatever. At least I didn't call anything in yet. So, I've been playing this a bit off-screen recently, and I was thinking, because I've seen a lot of videos lately talking about data mines. People data mining just anything and everything, everybody going, these are coming soon, when the reality is, we know of nothing coming soon. Because this game, we knew about vehicles like the first week, and we haven't even gotten those yet. So the odds of us actually getting any of these new, like, the carpet bomb are pretty slim. But that got me overall thinking, what is the future of Helldivers? Because as it stands, we don't really know. This is a live service game, and that doesn't really mean a ton, because there's really two kinds of live service. There's lasts forever, you know, your Warframe or things of that nature where they'll last a decade plus. And then you have things like Far Cry 5, where it was live service. They had events that were time-gated that they would release on a certain schedule. The game just also had its live service element last 3 months. And I'm not kidding about that. The second the final DLC for Far Cry 5 dropped, that same month they ended support for any of their, like, weekly challenges. So, there's two extremes. Personally, I'd like for this game to last a while. I think it has the legs to do so. It's just how they go about it. Because first and foremost, I think this game has flaws. I'm not going to sit here and be one of those people who's like, this is a masterpiece. It isn't. This game is built on an engine that last was supported 6 years ago. The studio or company that used, I want to say it was Maya, but they supported this current game's engine till 2018, and then they more or less said, yeah, we're just gonna have everybody use Unreal because it's more reasonable to have people do that. So we're in this weird spot where this engine's old, the studio uses it because they have experience with it, which, while good, is also kind of bad because this engine's kind of finite in what you can do with it.
Pod asset destroyed.
And then there's the matter of what can you do with this game in its current state. Because there's a lot of stuff I think this game needs. Whether folks agree with me, that's up in the air. But we'll go off what we know. We know that there is the cyborg warlord coming. It's been data mined. Right now I've seen just text, but we know it exists. Which, if you played Helldivers 1, the Overlord was the second to highest enemy. The highest enemy was the Siege Mech, which may make a comeback, but in this game's current setup, I imagine the Siege Mech is just the factory walkers
Reinforcement!
That's new. Didn't know I could just phase through that. Call me Night... Actually, it wouldn't even be Nightcrawler, because he just teleports. I guess that'd be more Kitty Pryde. Because she was the one who could do that. Because she had Lockheed. Sorry, X-Men nerd. But yeah. So we know that. We've seen the skeletons for the... I think it's the Hive Lord? For the Terminids. So we can more or less assume the Hive Lord will come back. I think it'll probably return when the next big event comes for the Terminids. Because we're supposed to defeat the Terminids again. This is all based on data mines. I apologize if you don't want spoilers, but it all plays into this. But the current leaks show that we will end up collapsing a star, which feels like a little bit of overkill, to shut down a major hive. And I think that will be the point where, for the game, we will end up releasing, like, a Hive Lord. We'll beat them, they'll return, it'll be like, oh, we angered them, blah blah blah. Now they have their kind of commander. The Illuminate have the Great Eye, which was from the first game. And that's really it. Now, you can't just look at Helldivers 1 and go, oh, that's going to be all the content, because we've already seen the introduction of flying units. That was something they never could have done in Helldivers 1. But it is a good framework to see kind of where they're kind of going and what they're going to pull back. Because it wouldn't make sense to have all those units and then go, nah, we're not doing them anymore. And there's other little things. There's these vats of goo that are essentially ground up Helldivers that we're gonna end up destroying at some point. And that's really all we've been able to find at the moment. But from an enemy perspective, the game's a little barren. Which I know that's a very rich statement considering, like I said, we got flying units. But at the same time, it's not a lot. One new flying unit per faction and eventually the Illuminate. I think realistically we need minimum 1 to 2 additional factions after the Illuminate. Just because there isn't a lot. If it's just 3 factions, even with 3, people will get bored. A prime example is Warframe. For the longest time, they just had Corpus Grineer and Infested. They eventually added Corrupted, which is just repurposed units from the other 3. We started introducing kind of guys like the Stalker and his acolytes. While it's not a full main faction, they were someone who could intervene. There's Narmer, which, once again, to a degree, recycled units. You have sub-variants like the... what is it? Like the modified corpus that Alad V uses. That are part sentient. You have the Sentients. You have a number of factions. The newest ones being the... I can't remember. I just finished the videos for that. The Whisper in the Walls stuff. And I can't remember the faction name. mostly because they've only shown up once, so it's hard to remember them. They seem like they'll be kind of a permanent or semi-permanent faction, and stuff like that is what this game needs. It needs more variety. What they could do then is kind of peel back a bit on these main orders. Maybe it's just take a planet, but we have a week because we have 2 or 3 major orders in play at once. Ooh, we need to actually start moving on that one. But we could do that. You could do a lot that gives players a bit more variety, because otherwise we're just kind of stuck doing the same thing again and again. And I'd also like to not go back to Malevolent Creek anytime soon. The Creek role players get a little out of hand. But so here's my idea. Even if we kept just the big 3, never added more, here's what I would say. Commanders, like planetary commanders and sub-factions. Great way to expand a faction without really expanding a faction. Because I think of, and I always love to reference it, the Nemesis system. From Shadow War, Shadow of Mordor, the Kingpin, what gets turned into the Lich system, from Warframe, whatever you call it, it's a good system. Because who doesn't like random gen enemies or random gen commanders who have an effect on your game? The easiest thing would be when a planet is invaded, you add an extra system that's like, hey, this commander, let's say we roll a random commander. It is, let's go with a automaton warlord. This automaton warlord will have, it is, let's just, like, scuffed backstory. It's a bioweapons specialist. Okay. It will now have it where the planets under its control specifically will spawn with an improved chance of having chemical weapons. Grenades will create like poison gas or acid splashes. Things like that. There might be a couple unique units that get added, but they become essentially sub-variants. We then go from there, and you have each one have kind of marching orders. You're in the same system. It says, okay, we're going to go from this planet to the next closest planet. If it is not defended in time, that random gen commander will now take control of that planet, and it too will have a chance of spawning units with its own modifiers. Can I move, please? But that would give a lot of variations. Players can hunt specific commanders if they want. You could still have certain enemy types spawn. Like, you could still have chemical weapon automatons. They just might have a lower chance than normal.
I got the terminal. Mission map updated.
This could be done with the Terminids by saying they're different, like, hive strains or hive variants. It's relatively simple. It's, thankfully, so Warner Brothers can't crawl up anybody's butthole over it. It does not have a command structure or like strata that they can climb up. So you don't have to, they wouldn't have to worry about like Warner Brothers suing you could make commanders actually get additional traits when certain thresholds are met or when certain upgrades or planets are claimed. Adding, they can spawn after getting like a trait, they might get another, just like spawn trait, they might get additional vehicle spawns or something. Then this would be a lot of work, and I don't know if Arrowhead would vibe with it, but the option of saying, hey, when you do missions, depending on difficulty, you could find a material that gives you, once you get enough of them, you can essentially get an assassination mission, where you pay whatever resource, you and whoever, you can just join up with randoms. I don't want to make it so you have to get like an LFG going. But you have a system in play. Players start either specialized boss missions instead of the normal ones. Maybe there's extra modifiers or something of that ilk. All in all, you make a special mission for him. And it could just be a normal assassination with this special modified boss. I don't see it really being that difficult, considering it wouldn't be unique to the player, it would be unique to the current stage of the conflict. Every so often, new commanders could rise. Different things can be done. But I think that would be a great way of adding a lot of replayability. People, I speak for myself and some others that I've seen, people like that kind of Nemesis system-esque design. Anything to mix up encounters and make something feel different. Oh. But there are other things too, like, definitely for what this game needs, outside of just enemy variety, armor variety. I've seen like a Reddit post that someone kind of retooled all the armor, and it's a big necessary thing, because even if you think about it, look at this game from a business standpoint. We are now second month in. We've already got our third pass. We're moving on to now the fourth war bond. If you are a new player, what incentive do you have to buy the second war bond? We know the weapons suck. There's only one gun that's kind of worthwhile. Is that really worth spending the time and money to get, and then all the time getting medals? Or do you just say, nah, that isn't it? The armor is incredibly niche because it's built entirely around using arc weapons. There's only 3 weapons that damage resistance benefits from. So is it worth buying? I get the devs didn't want to make it pay to win, and I think that it isn't pay to win. You don't magically get something that makes the game just head and shoulders better, because you can still get the Plas Scorcher for free, and that, for instance, takes kind of the place of the Rupture Rifle. But the problem is, so many weapons have the same trait. Medical ones. There's currently in the store, there's a heavy armor medic suit, and it just gives you 2 extra stims, and like 2 extra seconds duration of the effect. That's it. And the problem becomes, well, what use is that when I already have armor that does that? Yeah, you're at this point kind of just paying for style, but at the same time you kind of need to provide some incentives here, otherwise people just won't bother. And that's the big thing. I think if there was... The armor system needs to be retooled. By and large, it needs to be retooled to allow for a lot more stuff. The super heavy, like, commando EOD looking armor should have some bonus to being resist knockdowns. It's weird when the guy in super light armor ragdolls just as easy as the dude in the fattest armor in the game. It just feels like there's some weird dissonance here. Then, the big thing for me too is stims. Stims need additional effects. If there was like a frenzy stim that made you run faster or melee harder, if there was one that reduced sway, that would be cool. Armors with different effects like that would be absolutely worth it. Give helmets effects again. I would really like to have, like, a gas mask actually give resistance or immunity to gas munitions, because eventually we're going to get more. And I would rather have something that I can actually use and not have to worry about other people, have other people kind of like accidentally gas me. And let's be honest, it's not like, oh, if this helmet gives you immunity to gas, everybody's gonna run it. Yeah, it might show up more frequently if a certain, like, commander, for instance, with gas munitions spawns, but that would be expected. If you have intel that a certain enemy is using certain weapons, you adjust. Not every weapon and armor is meant to be for every situation. So just giving armor a lot more variety, helmets actually giving value. I kept seeing people ask for transmog, and the, like, head of the studio's like, no, we're not doing that. Which, really? People asking transmog? Just do the Destiny shader option. That's way more reasonable. Plus, then you can get some weird, like, zebra print patterns and just stupid stuff. That would be fun.
Requesting air support.
Yeah, armor just... For this game, armor needs to get retooled. It sucks that a mechanic... The game's 2 months in, there's already stuff that has to be reworked, but it really does. That's why I firmly stand by saying, like, this game is not a masterpiece. It is not even close. Because it is lacking so many things. And for something that wants to be live service and wants to be around for a long time, it's really lacking. Content, we see this here and now. Content is on a drip feed. Like I said earlier, we have the vehicles. We knew the vehicles were coming the first week of the game. We still don't have them. I'm amazed we got mechs. And tying stuff to story elements means it's not going to be, okay, it's done, let's get it going. It's going to be, okay, we're going to take as long as possible because we have narrative stuff come in. And that's kind of it's a dangerous game to play when you kind of drip feed content. Destiny has suffered from that issue for a very long time. And recently they got a ton of shit for it. Rightfully so. Drip feeding content blows. Drip feed, time gate, all that. It's awful. No one enjoys being told, hey, yeah, see, this stuff's ready, but you're gonna have to wait, like, I don't know, a month, 2 months, however long we kind of designate until we say, yeah, it's time to give this to you. We've also seen a lot of stuff when it comes to weapons. Weapon mods, all this. I would like to see weapon modification, but I think that is something that's not going to happen, simply because by and large, it looks like something that's just a relic of previous work. Like that was a old iteration that they just didn't scrub all the files for. Because, yeah, I'd like to have variable sights. I'd love to put a drum mag on this rifle. I would do, like every Call of Duty game, level up a gun. Get enough experience. Or, if you want to make a throwback to Helldivers 1, you could upgrade weapons using research materials. You could actually find stuff and it would give you a little bump in some category. Maybe a slight damage up, maybe something along the lines of like I don't know. Damage bump, magazine size, maybe a little bit more stability. Different things that don't break a weapon, but make it worthwhile. But like I said, I think that's already kind of come and gone, because when you look at something like the breaker shotgun, I think that's it. Sounds right. I haven't used it since they nerfed it. But yeah, it's the breaker, because there's the incendiary variant, which is the same shotgun, just incendiary drums. And there's supposed to be the nail biter, that's increased penetration that people have data mined. There's the spray and pray, which is a modified breaker. These would be things that would make for a great modification system. The problem becomes, then you can't put them in these war bonds. And now your war bonds become really sparse. So you say screw it, you just sell individual modified guns. And it's kind of, you're giving up one angle for another. Do I think it's right? Not really. Not from like a moralistic standpoint. It's just from a design standpoint. I despise when games do that. I hate variants that could very well just be like, as we saw with the incendiary breaker, it's literally just incendiary drum. That's it. And then they tried to balance it out by saying, oh, it can only fire in semi or burst. Oh, we forgot samples at both the camps, I think. Or no, those are just, I think, backpacks. Oh well.
Rare sample acquired.
But so we're in a weird spot there, and I just kind of worry how long the current variant of this game is going to be, because like we've seen further data mines that there's a laser pistol like the normal one, but it's got what looks like terminated like fangs at the bottom, which would kind of imply like some subversion or a skin. And then there's like a black and gold version people are finding in the files.
Requesting sentry.
So do they just start selling color variations? I don't think that's really the best option. And you can only do so many things. I think at best what one of these new data mined las pistols happens to be is something akin to the second las rifle, where it's the like machine gun variant. It'll just be a machine pistol. The third one, I have no clue what it can be.
Calling in orbital strike. Orbital strike incoming.
That's something we kind of have to wait and see on. Some people rather foolishly thought there was going to be like this long list because there's fusion weapons, but I think those are actually just the names of all of the Illuminate weapons, just given their designations for easier modifying. That is a lot of tanks.
ETA T-minus 20 seconds. ETA T-minus 10 seconds. Calling in orbital strike. This is Pelican 1. I have visual on the extraction zone.
Alright, everybody on the bus.
Countdown initiated. Stand by for takeoff. Extraction complete.
Alright.
Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
So, that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.